I bought these gloves 4 or 5 years ago, and back then I paid $70 for them. I still have both halves of the gloves and they are in pretty good condition. My mother would be proud. In this video, let me share with you what works and what doesn't when it comes to ONIX Outlast gloves. I will look at the product first as is and how it performs on the job or during the ride, and then I will share with you and look at the sales pitch. This is how it looks, just a page off the internet, and we'll look at what works and what doesn't and what's true and what's not happening. And of course I will share with you Outlast Technology is the manufacturer. And this is just a page of Wikipedia, what Outlast Technologies do. It's just widely available. So we'll see how the claims on paper stack up against reality. So let's get going. The design parameters for the glove is it will keep your hand fantastically warm, but only in cold and dry weather. If it's not cold and dry, it's not going to work. In the Pacific Northwest, it's hardly ever cold and hardly ever dry, so I get to wear these gloves maybe 20 years in a year, tops. That's why there isn't a lot of wear in the gloves, because it's not cold and dry in the Pacific Northwest. So if your climate is, or just any actual weather on any day, if it's cold and wet, the gloves will not work. If it's warm and dry, the gloves will not work. And when it's warm and wet, the gloves will absolutely not work. They will only keep your hands warm in cold and dry weather. And that has to do with the outside of it and the liner. So let me walk you through the fine details here. Let's get started with the outside. The outside is this meshy material. This meshy material has these perforations on it, and that means that any amount of drizzle or light rain, even when you get snowflakes on it and they melt, any amount of precipitation will soak right in. It's gonna make your glove waterlogged. Now the liner inside is waterproof, so your hand will be dry, but it will be evenly jacketed everywhere around the fingers with about 2 pounds of cold water. You're going to lose so much heat through your hands and fingers that it's going to be no fun in 15 minutes. You're going to be shivering, you're going to be distracted, and you're going to be miserable. Operating switchgear, clutch, and throttle is going to be out the window. Okay, you're going to be suicidal cannonball barreling down the highway. You're going to have no feelings left in your fingers in any amount of wet weather when it's jacketed with 2 pounds of cold water. So it does not work with any amount of wet weather. Okay, end of story. Second thing about the outside and this meshy material, even though it has a considerable amount of stretch or give, is that it can get snagged. It can get snagged on hardware or you know, luggage components, on a cotter pin, and if you harvest a blackberry or a raspberry, it's gonna get, you know, it's gonna get snagged on that. So just this kind of material, I don't know how practical it is. Once it gets snagged, it's gonna unravel. It's gonna look ugly, and it's gonna, so I don't know how practical this meshy material is for the outside, but it's not a brilliant idea. However, as is, it will keep your hand warm in cold and dry weather. I do like the palm on the gloves. You know, most gloves give somewhere here between the thumb and the palm, or between the fingers or at the end of the fingers. The stitching is all intact and it's in really good condition. Double stitched, so that's really nice, and it's not made thick, so that means that you still have enough good throttle and clutch control, and you will remain nimble enough to operate switchgear on the motorcycle or ATV, whatever. It has a gel pad in the corner here where it's a pressure point as well as a high spot, so here where you have some load on it, that works nice. It's not big enough to for some people, but it's something. I don't know why they put this patch here at the low spot on the palm where it's not a pressure point and therefore there's not a lot of weight on it, but they did. I don't know, maybe somebody stitched it there by mistake, I don't know. should have doubled up the layers here, because that's another pressure point. Whatever. You can see that this patch is thoughtfully cut out and made for grabbing a bar, around a bar, like so. So that's a good feature. This is well thought out on the palm side. Maybe executed a little, whatever. The glove also comes with knuckle guards. In general, I don't like knuckle guards, but these ones actually work. They work because these knuckle guards can move around freely within reason, so they can center themselves over your knuckles. There is also this hard plastic knuckle guard, one there, 2 in this finger and 2 in this finger. These knuckle guards and plastic inserts will keep your hand, if you're grabbing the handlebar here, will keep the cold blast away from your hands and will prevent arthritis and will prevent losing heat on your hands as long as it's cold and dry. So when you purchase the gloves, not only the liner has to be your size, but also the knuckle guard has to be your size. Now, just because it fits, just because the liner fits you, the knuckle guard may not. You think that it does, but it may not be always the case. I like these gloves for its knuckle guard because the distances between the bumps in this plastic mold just happens to match my distances on my knuckles for my hand size. It's a happy match on cold and dry days. And moving on to the liner. Now the glove comes with some stickers. This is what you see on the sticker: ONIX XXL Pakistan in this case, and you can see some materials listed with some percentages. It doesn't say anything about the liner, and the other sticker or what label just says 36 on it. So there are 3 problems with the liner. The liner is a waterproof liner, but it's also a non-breathable waterproof liner. So that means that if you lose any moisture, if you sweat anything through your hands and your fingers are moist, it's gonna stick to this liner. This kind of liner is a kind of liner that is covering stuffed toys or so, just by the look of it. So anyhow, when this liner gets it gets sticky. It doesn't dry out easily. It has to be dried out this way, but the liner collapses onto itself, and it's really hard to dry it out. If you lose some moisture through your hands, if you sweat through it, the liner becomes sticky because it's non-breathable. The second problem with the liner is that it's not fixed inside the glove to the ends of the finger. So when you try to pinch your fingers, and as you remove it, of course you should pinch your fingers when you remove the gloves to keep the liner in place, but even so, it's not staying in place. The liner is fixed to the glove here between the fingers, and it's gonna come away from the end of the outside, and it's gonna collapse as well. It's gonna collapse, and if your hand was moist previously, it's also gonna stick to itself. So it might take 5 minutes for you to put the gloves on if the inside is collapsed and moist and sticking to itself, because it comes away from the end of the fingers. Also, and taking 5 minutes, seriously 5 minutes, if you run up the stairs for something because you forgot something and you have your gloves on, and you run up 10 steps and you come back down, you lost enough sweat, or you generated enough sweat and you lost enough moisture on the fingers, so that moisture will interfere with taking the gloves off clean, your hands and fingers, and it's just going to be a miserable liner mess inside. The last thing is that the liner is shorter than the fingers, significantly. So let me show you how that looks like. Okay, so I took this glove off with a relatively dry hand, so it kinda easily goes on, wiggling the fingers through. So that's one. Ironing out the wrinkles in the second one. Okay, middle finger done, index done. Thumb is kind of fitting, but yeah, okay, just that I'm not happy with the little finger. Alright, so that's how long it takes to put the gloves on in a good case scenario. But take a look at this. The the liner, there's my finger. My finger is at the end of the liner. There, my thumb there, and the outside is this much longer. The outside can be moved down, and now it's puckering here. Look at this. Now the outside, the end of the outside is at the end of the liner here, but now you have this much extra material here, but it's not gonna stay there. It's gonna end up like so. I only pinch the outside. You can see that my thumb is still at the end of the liner here, but the outside is this much longer. When you're grabbing a bar, so how is this extra material gonna work with operating switchgear? It doesn't. It sucks. It's a stupid design there. All right. And it's not that it's not my size. No. The liner is my size. The knuckle guard is my size, but the outside is at the thumb this much longer than. And I don't have midget thumbs. Maybe it's made for the pianist with a. This is an extra 25 millimeters, an extra inch here. So it's. Look at this, it doesn't work really well. The same repeats for the little finger. Now you don't have to operate switches with your little finger, but it's the same stuff. On the inside, my little finger is at the end of the liner, but the outside is just this much longer, and it's just puckering, whatever. It's not interfering with operating the throttle, and you don't switch switches with your little finger, but that's how this glove is made. Not so much of an issue with the ring finger or the middle finger or the index finger. It's especially bad with the little finger and the thumb. So those are the issues with the liner, that they are shorter than the fingers, that they are not fixed inside the glove, and they move away and they collapse it collapses into itself, and they are sticking to itself because they don't breathe if your hands are moist by any amount, like seriously 2 breaths on your fingers are enough to make a mess on the liner on the inside. So that's what I have to say about these gloves. Like I said, in cold and dry weather, when your hands stay dry as well as the weather stays dry, your hands also need to be staying completely dry. In those narrow conditions, within those parameters, the glove works fantastically, and that's why I don't wear it, because it's too narrow of a window of ideal parameters in the Pacific Northwest. So it might fantastically work for you in your climate and in your riding conditions. Good for you, but for me, I can only wear it maybe 20 days in a year, and I have all of these issues with it. So back to the outside again. This outside mesh, oh, by the way, the elastic is fantastic in it, and it's still holding, and I really like the long cuff that can wrap around the sleeve of your gear. So, and I don't know what this gel pad is doing in this cuff, but whatever. So this Aerotex material is what the outside is made of. And according to the sales pitch, the Aerotex is for windproofing. Yeah, not happening. Listen to me. If it's got visible, think it through. If it's got visible holes in it, how is that for windproofing? It's not for windproofing. It is to make the glove breathable. Okay, that makes sense? And of course, it only stays breathable in dry weather, because in wet weather, like I said, it's just gonna soak in and get waterlogged. So this Aerotex material is supposed to be for breathable fabric. Now, when this meshy fabric is applied to a car seat or something that isn't combined with whatever this liner is made of, it probably works fantastically well. Doesn't quite in this glove. The sales pitch also tells you that this glove will keep you cool when the outside temperature is warm. Yeah, not happening ever. Because if you sweat, because the liner is such, yeah, it's not happening. And will keep you warm when the outside temperature is cold. Guaranteed, for sure, every single time. Now, the inside material is, the liner is Hypora. This Hypora is some South Korean stuff, competitor of Kevlar, and just recently some judge ordered the company Colon Technologies or something like that to pay out to DuPont, who has Kevlar patented, millions or billions of dollars in damages because Colon Industries stole some of the Kevlar related stuff from DuPont. So yeah, the manufacturer is in had to fork out a couple of $1 billion. Yeah, nothing major, don't worry about it. So this Hypora membrane, it has 3 layers. Let me see, do I have a sheet on that one? Yeah, not really, but you can Google it, whatever, look it up wherever you like it. And these 3 layers are supposed to have perforations in it that allow water vapor, steam particles to escape, but big water droplets don't go in. For sure it is waterproof, but the perforations on it, probably they are 5 micron or whatever they advertise it to be, but there aren't enough perforations on the Hypora to make the liner breathable. Okay, so this kind of liner combined with this kind of mesh is really not a good combination to function as a glove. Even in cold and dry, like I said, if your hands get the least amount moist from running up 10 steps to get your key, whatever you forgot inside, your hands will miserably stuck to the inside because the liner is just not breathable enough, this Hypora layer. What else do I have? Yeah, Outlast Technologies. They are doing fabrics such as, I don't know what they do actually. I don't know if they developed the Aerotex. They definitely did not develop the Hypora, but they spin the fibers for some of the components of the gloves, like here it says fabrics, fibers, whatever, and they weave it together. Okay, the big buzzword here is phase changing materials or phase change materials. Yeah, whatever the good PR here that it's good for, or this the manufacturer's fibers are being used in this and this. Yeah, probably in some other combinations, not combined with Hypora or maybe not combined with Aerotech, but in different combinations and different layerings, probably they work wonderfully well. But as is in this glove, like I said, they just don't quite work. And so however good Outlast Technologies look like or look on paper, yeah, this glove is not happening. It only really works in cold and dry when you do not exert yourself at all. And the review. Thank you for your patience.